so excited. Switching sides. Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. If you're new here, hi, my name is Emmy. Make sure you subscribe, especially if you like reading and vlogs and book stuff, because we do a lot of all of that here. And today is no different, as you can obviously tell from the title. We try to actually catch up to my Goodreads goal for the year, because many of you know now that I've already surpassed my goal like 3 times this year. We actually started out the year with a goal of 48 books to be read, because last year I read 5 books total. So I was like, you know what, let's try and read a couple a month. So the goal was 48 and then I surpassed that in a month and a half. We bumped it up to 100 and then I surpassed that. Right now, the current amount of books that I have read is sat at 167. So I thought, why not make it a bit more fun and update my goal again for the last time? Let's do 250, which is absolutely insane, but I feel like that tracks with the amount of books I read. Like, I feel like that's very possible for me to do this year. Every year, I don't know about that, but for this year, I think maybe we can do that. So I set my goal to 250 books and a week went past and I didn't read as many books as I typically do in a week. I have had such a busy week. So when I went to check and see my goal, it says I'm 3 books behind. I have not been behind all year. So immediately I'm like, oh, let's see if we can catch up, because I like to be on top of my goal. I like my Goodreads to tell me that I'm on track. Okay, so being 3 books behind, not doing it for me, not cutting it. And Miss Tiffany Leanne actually did one of these reading vlogs a couple weeks ago and I absolutely loved it. So shout out to Bestie Tiffany. This video concept is completely inspired by her. But I'll leave her channel down below if you aren't already subscribed, because you should be. But anyways, today we're gonna be catching up with my Goodreads reading goal. So we're gonna read at least 3 books, because then hopefully my Goodreads status update says up to date, and that's what we want. We want to be on track. So let's jump in to the reading vlog and start reading. So you'd think that if I want to read 3 books in the next 24 hours, I'd probably pick the shortest books I can find, but no, because I read fantasy books and no fantasy books are short. First on the TBR for this reading vlog, we have This Woven Kingdom. I just really want to read it and it's on my TBR for the month. It's about, I think this is like a lost heir story. So there is this long lost heir or princess or something who's actually living and working as a servant in plain sight. The crown prince is suspicious of her. She's caught his eye. He doesn't know what she's doing, but he's keeping an eye out on her. And it's got like Persian mythology, you know, little fairy tale type of story. So want to read this. I loved Shatmi and I'm interested to see what her writing style will be like in this, because Shatmi has a very distinctive style of writing. It is very poetic, very flowery, but of its time, I think. And I've not read any of her other books, so definitely want to pick this up and read this. I think it will be a very fun little story. And I own all 3 books, so I should probably start the first one, you know, like get into it. Another book that is also on my TBR for the month is Slaying the Vampire Conqueror, and I think we want to read that. We definitely want to read that. And this is by Chrissa Broadbent, and it's set, I believe, in the same like world as The Serpent and the Wings of Night. I liked the first book. I loved the novella, but I didn't really care for the third, or technically the second book, The Ashes and the Star-Cursed King. I also didn't really care for the first book in, you know, Daughter of No Worlds. So her writing is like a hit or a miss for me. It's 50-50. Like, I think her writing is beautiful, but if I connect to the characters in the story, that's like, it's either a yeah or a nah. So, I can't believe I just said that. Yeah or nah. But anyways, they are the 2 books I'm going to start off with, and I want to read them both today. I want to read them back to back, and I want to read them in a single sitting. So we're going to sit and binge these books. And then for the 3rd book, I don't know, we're going to maybe mood read, because I don't know what I want to pick up yet. We'll see how I'm feeling and how long it takes me to get through these. I've got some options. I just got an ARC copy of the new book in the Beasts of the Briar series, book 4, and that's like 600 plus pages, is it? Let me have a look. I don't actually know how many pages it is. The Kindle copy doesn't have page numbers, so I don't actually know how many pages that is. 653 pages apparently. That seems too optimistic to pick for this video, so yeah, I don't know. I've got 6 of Crows on my TBR for the month as well, and anytime I mention that book series in any video, I just get so many comments of people being like, oh my god, you haven't read it, and like, please read it like ASAP. So it will be getting read this month, and it will be getting read in a reading vlog. I just don't know if it's gonna be this one. We'll we'll find out and see. You'll probably already know what books I'm reading in this reading vlog by the thumbnail anyways, because I usually put them in there. Also, I got a new Stanley cup. Obviously, it's another pink one. Stanley actually sent me this. PR from Stanley? I don't think I can top that ever, but they've just launched 3 of their colors in like a new size, so they sent them out, but I just have like the smaller size in my other one, and they sent both sizes for this one. So this is the big size, the like 1.2 liter 40 ounce. A cup does not need to be this big, but I love it. I'm such a Stanley girl. We also have Cooper, who is already making noises. But anyways, I think we're gonna read This Woven Kingdom first. I think I'm gonna chuck headphones on and I think we're just gonna read that. So let's start the book. I'm 2 chapters in and I have to say, like, I'm very much enjoying it. Like, I think I'm gonna get sucked in and just like binge this. But I also don't know what's happening. Like, we've just had mention of the devil and I'm like, okay, I know some of this is like Persian mythology and stuff, and I'm interested to know which of it is like made up and which of it is actual mythology. It's very interesting. We're getting the story of the devil now, but like I'm waiting for it to connect, because so far we've just been introduced to our main female character. Cooper's trying to take my spot. You are not having that seat, that's where I'm sitting. We've just had the introduction to our main female character and figuring out who she is and where she, you know, how she's gotten to where she is. But I'm very much enjoying it, so we're gonna keep reading. I'm also like sitting in the most awkward positions because my back is bruised from my sports massage yesterday. So I'm kind of just like awkwardly sitting and lying where I can. Today's a rest day for me, so I will be horizontal as much as I possibly can be because I deserve it too. So I'm like 100 pages in and I love this. I love YA books and I love how unserious at times they are. Like, there's no need to just like sit and justify things or overcomplicate it or make things have a big reason. They're literally saying in this book, like, you're a prince and it's your duty. You've come home now. You got to host a ball. That's what the prince does. Time to host a ball. And I eat it up every time. I'm like, yes, you are a prince. That's why we're here. We want you to host a ball. I love ball scenes in fantasy books and fantasy fairy tales. They're just so fun. Just like my inner girl is screaming, loving it, obsessed. And this prince's job is to host a ball. Cooper, are you okay there? Hi, you okay? Yeah. But this prince needs to host a ball and he needs to find a wife. So we're gonna have like a arranged marriage of convenience type of trope. I don't know. That's usually what happens in fairy tale fantasies. Whether it's with our main female character or not. Probably not, because I mean everything that has happened so far is exactly what's on the back of the book. Nothing that I've read so far hasn't been on the blurb here, so what I'm saying is not a spoiler. I'm quite excited. I'm getting giddy. Yeah, like loving it. I also had to make a coffee. I'm so tired. I'm exhausted. But I need to read this book and I want to read this book in the next like 3 hours because that's when Cammy comes home from golf. So if I can read a book while he's away, then that's good, because then I can start a second book and hopefully read a second book this evening and tonight in bed, and then start a book tomorrow, maybe finish it before the afternoon because I've got plans in the evening tomorrow. So we'll have like a full 24-hour period, and if I can read 3 books, that would be fun. Okay, back to the reading we go. I'm very much enjoying the book. I'm like halfway through now. Part of it has been quite like reminiscent of Cinderella, which is fun, but it's definitely giving like fairy tale fantasy. I don't know, I love it. I love how atmospheric it is. I love the direction that it's gone. Shortly after my last update, the plot started to develop, so instead of like just going through what was on the back of the book, we started to take like course of where the story was going to go. And I really enjoy the writing. Like, I feel like I can just get sort of sucked into it. No, I'm actually like so excited. Like, I had a theory at the start with the hazelnuts, and then this scene happened and I'm like, I know who it is. I know who it is. Oh, it's getting so good. I love this. This is so fun. Oh my god. I kind of feel like depending on how it ends, I might just pick up book 2. This is good. This is very, very good. I'm getting so excited. It is quite clearly a bit later now. I did read This Woven Kingdom and I loved it. This was so much fun. I don't know what I'm gonna give it for a rating though. Somewhere between like a 4 and a 4.5 stars. This was so fun, like literally just giggling. The tension, the whole like forbidden romance trope. I was sitting there like kicking my feet, but like immediately the cliffhanger and the ending, I was like, kind of saw that coming but also didn't. So we're just immediately reading book 2. I have book 3 as well, but I don't think I'll read all 3 back to back because apparently from what I've seen, this takes place over a 24-hour period. I actually think I prefer this to Shatter Me. Like the vibes of this, the fairy tale element, like part of it was giving like very much like Cinderella. I want to read more books like this. I love like a kingdom and fairy tale type of story, but I really like this and I'm so glad that there are more books coming in this series. But we're immediately going to pick up book 2, which obviously picks up straight away from book 1. And yeah, like I said, I think this is like everything that happens in this takes place in a 24-hour period, which I can't really imagine, but also like new characters being introduced, and I think they're obviously going to be a main character in book 2, and I'm imagining in book 3 it sort of all comes together, but I don't know how many books are going to be in the series. Is it like 5? I don't know. So this is shorter. I feel like it's going to be a little bit easier to binge, so we're just going to sit and read this hopefully all now in one sitting this evening. Guys, it's the next day. I checked my Goodreads goal this morning, and even though we've read 1 book in this vlog, it's still saying 3 books behind. So maybe we need to read a 4th, I don't know, but I'm about to finish these Infinite Threads, and so far I am like 70% of the way through the book. The whole plot has happened in a 24-hour period so far. Like this is just 24 hours. The first couple chapters were actually just like copies of chapters we had at the end of book 1, or just like recounting things that we went through there, like a little bit of a recap. But it's been very easy to fly through, and honestly I have to say nothing is really happening in this book, but I'm kind of still eating it up. I'm kind of a little bit obsessed with it. I think it's going to be very, very easy for me to just sit and get through this now because I have less than 100 pages to go. So I think I'm just gonna sit and blast through this. But in terms of like what I can say about the plot, I mean, not gonna give you spoilers for what happens, and I'm not gonna tell you how book 1 ended, obviously. I just said that I really loved book 1, and book 2 has kind of gone off in a different direction, but at the same time it's only been 24 hours plot wise, so nothing has happened. So there's nothing huge, no like major plot twists or anything. We have like an addition of a new character, so we're sort of just getting to know them and seeing where the story is going to go. It is giving a little bit of like a middle book syndrome, but I also don't care because like the vibes are there. I feel like if you've read Shatter Me, you kind of know like some of the books in that, not much really happens, but we love the characters and where it's going, and I have to say I am way more into this book series than I thought I was going to be. It is YA, it is very tension filled, and I would say there is an equal amounts of like interesting plot happening, as well as like a lot of interesting characters and individual character dynamics. So I'm really enjoying it. I really love her writing. There is a little bit of romance in this, but it's not like the main thing that's going on, but it is also still somewhat like there is so much tension around it. But anyways, we're gonna sit on the couch and just read this last hour. I'm gonna put my headphones on, make myself a coffee, blast through it, and then see what book we're gonna pick up after and how we're feeling about this. I want to do all the reading today because today's a Sunday and I've got to go back to work tomorrow, Monday. And I have a lot of books that I need to read. I've actually sat and written out all the books that I need to read in this next week because I've got like a couple arcs. There's some like new releases coming out. I'm also in the middle of reading other books that I've paused for this video because they are like 700-800 page books. So it's a lot all over the place at the moment. I'm a little bit stressed. I'm ready to dive back into this because I did read it in bed last night. It was fun. I just keep giggling. You know, when a book's just like, that's how I feel. I'm gonna say 4 stars. I think book 1 was better because there was more happening, but like I loved the new character that we got in this. I loved like the side comic relief characters that we had. Tension in this book, more palpable than book 1, which didn't know how we were gonna do, but like switching sides. Literally. Book 1 I was like, yes. Book 2 I was like, that's a bit of me. Yeah, we're just gonna jump over to this team. So that is book 2. What is my reading challenge saying? Okay, now it's saying I'm 2 books behind schedule. I don't know if I'm gonna have time to read 2 books in this vlog. We'll at least read 1 book and get up to date, but I'm gonna jump to a Kindle book now. I really want to pick up book 3 like straight away, but like that's kind of a little bit boring, isn't it? And I need to film another continuing series I'm in the middle of vlog because there are so many books that I've got like the next or the final book to read, so maybe we'll save that for then. If I can finish my next Kindle read, maybe I'll jump back to that, but I have too many other books that I want to read first, so I feel like we can put a pause on this. This is so much fun. Like, I kind of want to savor the way that I'm feeling about this and how excited I'm getting. Some of the other books potentially could slump me out or could be 3-star reads. Like, I feel like I need something excited to look forward to that I know is going to hit, so I think we're going to save the 3rd book. But also, like, I don't like the idea of finishing that and then not having another book or a date for the next one in the series. Maybe I'll try and pace myself with this series, but it's so good. I've not found a YA book series that I've loved in such a long time, so it's really nice to have a little YA that I'm like all giddy about, but that's fun. I have to go leave the house now and we'll be out for a couple hours, and then I will check back in when we pick up another book this evening and hopefully read that in one sitting. Hello everyone, so it is the evening. I'm home now and I have downloaded Slaying the Vampire Conqueror. I am still thinking about this Woven Kingdom. Like, I just want to go and read book 3, but at the same time I'm like, I kind of want to pace myself and enjoy myself. So I'm glad that I know that I have book 3 there, but I do feel like I want to read something else now to mix it up a bit and break it down. So we are going to continue on with the original plan, which was Slaying the Vampire Conqueror by Carissa Broadbent. And I've already said, I think everyone knows how I feel about her books. Like, I do love her writing. I think she's a very great writer. I think she's very talented. There are so many things in her books that I do highlight, and quotes that I think are so well written that live in my brain rent-free, but it's just something about the plots and the characters that I struggle to connect with. Six Scorched Roses is the exception, and I do really love Rain from The Serpent and the Wings of Night, but it's Araya that I struggle with. I don't know, some of her main female characters I just don't like. And I don't know why or what it is, but I'm very intrigued and excited to read this. And I do want to read the next duet in, you know, The Crowns of Nyaxia, and that is coming out soon. So I feel like this is good to sort of remind me of that world and put me in there, because, you know, I do enjoy reading her books, but it is still a 50-50 and I don't know why. It's so frustrating, like when everyone else loves a book series but you just don't. For me, I think like the biggest book series that I've not enjoyed and is not for me is The Cruel Prince. That's just not my thing, and I just don't think that that author is for me. Whereas I really love Carissa Broadbent's writing, I just don't love all her characters and the way that the plots develop and like the story itself. So I don't know, it's weird. It's so weird. I wish I didn't feel this way. I get a lot of comments, people being like, oh my god, you don't like this book? And I'm like, I know, I feel just as outraged at myself, but I can't help that I don't connect to it. Again, 5 stars is a feeling, and if I don't get that feeling with a certain book, like, I'm not going to force it. It's just not for me. If I can't put my finger on exactly why, you know, I don't know, because it's missing that feeling. I don't know how to explain it. I'm very excited to jump into this. I've also, like, this is another interconnected standalone series, but like there's other authors have done their own versions of books with like similar themes or topics, but they're all set in their own individual worlds, so the worlds don't cross over at all. But I think it's such a very fun concept. Like, I love when authors come together to do like little collaborative projects. And I do want to read Blood and Steel, and I'm pretty sure the author of that has a book in this Mortal Enemies to Monster Lovers series, which is what Slaying the Vampire Conqueror is a part of. The names of these fantasy romance books sometimes just get me. Like, it's so far out there and far-fetched. Mortal Enemies to Monster Lovers. Why does that give like furry vibes? Why does that sound like fan fiction? This is 400 pages. I'd like to just sit here and read all of it, but I don't know if that will happen or if I can possibly do that. I don't know if I have enough hours in my evening left, so we're gonna sit and read as much as I can in bed. I'm gonna get comfy, and then I'll catch up with you later on, probably tomorrow, with an update on how I'm feeling with the book. It's 2 days later. I read half of Slaying the Vampire Conqueror in bed, like you saw, and absolutely devoured it. Straight from the jump I was like, okay, yeah, this is giving me like 6 Scorched Roses vibes rather than the Ashes and the Starcursed King vibes. Like, I was enjoying it more, I was more connected, and I actually really liked our 2 main characters and the dynamic. And then I finished it yesterday, and silly me, deleted all my footage accidentally of it, so we unfortunately don't have that, but I did really enjoy this. I think it's a 4-star read for me. It was 400 pages, very easy to binge. I'm gonna make some TikToks soon of like fantasy book recommendations under 400 pages because so many fantasy books are like 600 plus pages. I've read a few books that are under 300 pages and they have all pretty much been terrible. I just feel like a fantasy book needs to be 300 to 400 pages to like be really good. So I've had a lot of comments asking for like shorter fantasy book recs. I feel like this is a good shorter fantasy book rec, or at least like a good standalone, because it's part of an interconnected series, but you don't have to read anything for it, and the other books in this series are by other authors set in completely different worlds with different stories. So this was fun. It was really fun to jump back into like the Crowns of Nyaxia world, because like immediately as soon as I jumped in I remembered all that world building and the different gods, the terminology they use, the sort of map of the world in the book series. So I jumped in and was like, oh, I remember all of this. This is such a fun like little jumping into. And I finished this book feeling like I want to read more Carissa Broadbent. So maybe I do need to pick up the next book in the Daughter of No World series because it's such a loved series. I want to read more of her stuff now. What is that? Am I changing my tune? I don't know. Probably the author I'm most like conflicted with, but like this was really fun. I definitely do think though that the 6 Scorched Roses is my favourite of hers. I don't know what could top that. That was a 4.5-star novella for me, for a novella. I don't ever rate a novella more than 3 stars. 4.5 for a novella. It was amazing. Slaying the Vampire Conqueror is about our main female character who basically is tasked with assassinating the Vampire Conqueror. It's in the title. That is the premise of the book and what happens, and it's set in the same world as The Serpent and The Wings of Night, so you have the same magic system, the same history and politics and world. Our main female character is basically part of a cult that has dedicated their life in service to one of the gods in this world, or goddesses in this world, who is known as the Goddess of Fate. You know, she was basically from the age of 10 taken in as an orphan and raised by this cult, and part of it is giving them your eyes and your eyesight. Like, you slowly make yourself blind over time, and in exchange the Goddess of Fate will give you these magical powers so you can still see, but it's not the same seeing as with your eyes. So they're often wearing blindfolds, but they can see like threads and magical connections and things. So being an assassin that can't see but can see, it's very interesting. And then we have our vampire conqueror. He is a conqueror. He's actually just a warrior who is trying to conquer parts of this world for his goddess, Nyaxia, who's like the goddess of the vampires and the Crowns of Nyaxia, the Nightborn Duet. You know, we've got those books about her, so we already have like so much information about her, but he works for her, conquering land for her. This is all very simplified, obviously. She is like, he is my enemy, vampires are horrible, everything the cult believes in, you know, he is the complete opposite, but her assassination task requires her to go undercover. So she starts to get to know the vampire conqueror and starts traveling with him. Things progress from there, but it is very much a romantasy, and it is just fun. Though I will be glad to never hear the word weaver ever again. That was one thing, like when fantasy books make up their own words for like OMG, sometimes it's just too much, way too much, and I think weaver has to be one of my least favorite phrases ever. But it was on my TBR for this month, and like I said, very happy I read it. 4-star read for me. I'm feeling good. It was like a fun little palette cleanser, got me into that fantasy mood. I very much enjoyed reading it in the fall time. I feel like the vibe of it is very perfect for this fall season and like the colder, spookier months that are coming up. I love fantasy and romantasy season. I feel like it thrives in fall and winter. Obviously I read it all year round, but it just hits harder when it, you know, you got darker nights and cozier vibes, so very happy with that. I finished the, you know, I read 3 books, which when we started this challenge it said I was 3 books behind. We read 3 books and it's now saying I'm 4 books behind. How? How does that even happen? In my defense, I have been listening to an audiobook and I have started and almost finished another book. So I have 2 more books to go. So technically after today, I'll be 2 books behind schedule again, even though we've read at that point 5 other books. So maybe setting a goal of 250 books was quite optimistic. I mean, it's very optimistic, but I mean, I've done the maths and if I read 20 books a month, I should be fine, like from now to the end of the year. And I can definitely do that, guys. Like that's on track with what I read. So I think I'm gonna try and stick to this goal of 250 books because it will be possible. But I've just had like a slower last 2 weeks. I am doing 2 different 24-hour readathons in the month of September. I think I'll be able to like get back up to that goal, but maybe I'll have to do another part of these videos to make sure that we stay on track to hit my reading goal. I don't know. If you like this video, this sort of little reading challenge, let me know because I can definitely do more. But I mean, it was a success because we did read the 3 books, but it was also kind of a fail because now we're even more books behind somehow. I don't know, I don't get it. How does that even happen? Goodreads is kind of low-key my enemy right now. That is where we're gonna end this video today. But thank you so much for watching, guys. I'm gonna continue reading now. I'll see you very soon in the next reading vlog. Make sure you're subscribed if you're not already. And yeah, I'll see you soon. Bye.